Jam on toast!
Please, if you don't hear anything else from me today, needles are not recreational. Hey there, welcome to Jam. I'm Cameron. Today the toast is to Rent. This is week 21 of hashtag We Are Movie Club. This week's pick was Nina. This ends the official tag game of We Are Movie Club, and everything else is going to be moving towards the channel. You go ahead and click the hashtag, go over to the We Are Movie Club channel. Look out for weekly updates about movie stuff from there. Fridays we're going to put out reviews, and Saturdays are the hangouts. So the short sale on this one is that some New York bohemians try to get by in the face of eviction and AIDS. My love it for this one is the opening scene. It's them on stage, which helps us who aren't familiar know that it's a theatrical performance, but the audience is empty because we end up doing like a 360 view of them. So it's really them against the world. It shows that they're alone, and the audience is whoever happens to see it, or that you can fill it in yourself, or that maybe there's not even an audience and it's really them alone in the world. There's a couple different ways you can interpret it, but the point is they are without support, and it's very much akin to life. My hate it for this is that I finally realized towards the end of the movie this time is that Mark had to piece together that movie he made on 35 millimeter reel, like probably cutting and taping the stupid reel together just to get it pieced together. The intro to it looked like he did a lot of shortcuts there, which honestly, if I saw someone doing that in real life, I would be truly impressed. Maybe a little disgusted that they didn't find an easier way to do it, but you work with what you got, right? The MVP for this one, the MVP for this is definitely the writers for the songs. Some of the most powerful lyrics and music that tempos along right with the attitude that you need and the actors are giving, and great. This is really a theatrical performance I would like to see, given the chance. I have a feeling that I won't be disappointed. But let's get on to the categories. Aesthetics. This is a movie of beautiful aesthetics. I don't know where they found that set, if they made it, if that's actually part of New York. Maybe that actually is what Avenue A looks like. I've been to Avenue X. I know how run down the houses are there. Maybe when you get closer to the city down towards A, you get these old cranky loft and apartment buildings. I don't know. It's been a while since I was in New York. Beautiful scene, just the random tags and stuff on the furniture and cabinets and stuff was a real nice touch. They do these great big shots of that street where it's at the low and you just get this widespread of the city skyline. I love all the imagery, especially with Mimi climbing the fire escape to get up to Roger. It's kind of a metaphor for ascending. There's lots of little visual metaphors in there. I can't remember them all right now. If I've taken notes, then maybe I should. This is definitely one I would love to go back and note to death and do a special on. It does get a little jarring, like especially in that first scene where Collins gets mugged, and then all of a sudden we've got 100 people in the street singing. None of them saw that, stopped the robbery. And again, it's New York. And then they're all gone when Angel goes to rescue Collins. The music in this, as I've already stated, is phenomenal. And honestly, it's just good enough that you can forget it because it seems so natural and effortless that they mixed it all together. But as soon as you hear that, I felt that respect for the song immediately. Especially Collins. I really liked his singing voice, and I think Rosario Dawson, this is not her first time singing on film. For the record, I think my favorite song was Out Tonight, where it starts with Rosario Dawson's character, Mimi, and then we go to Roger, and then it starts going back and forth between the characters, and you get all these shifts in music where it may actually be separate songs, but it really moves you back and forth and makes you feel the feels. I really enjoyed it. I really love the songs, but it's not that I'm going to catch myself humming later, except for maybe 525,600 minutes. And that's all you get. As much as I want to go on about the music, and you should definitely watch this for that, if nothing else, it's so natural in the moment, it's slightly forgettable, so I'm actually failing here to, after just watching it just a minute ago, on what I really, really liked about it. I like that there was conversational music. I do remember that because that's very hard to pull off, and usually that's what people used to knock on musicals for. Is like, oh, all of a sudden they're singing. She's just gonna walk down the hall singing, and no one's gonna say anything about this. But it really works in this, and I love that. And I'm not a traditional fan of musicals, but I've got a short list of musicals that I can really get behind, and this is definitely towards the top of that list. Aesthetics gets a 95. Character development. Most of the character development of this is done really well. You get information out of the scenarios that are brewing, you get it out of the character direct interaction, you get it out of songs. There's expositional songs that just kind of talk about how they're feeling, especially Angel drumming the dog to death. I think that one song alone really kind of says a lot about that character. And they each kind of get a song like that. Especially the Tango Marine, Mark and Joanne both get a huge intro, not to mention that they side intro Marine herself, because at that point we get like a very vague image of who she is. And then it just thunders in all three of them, and it's over before you know it. And you got this impression of Marine before she even shows up and gives her own interactions. Up to that point, you just kind of have what Mark's talked about her and one interaction on the phone. That's right. There's a lot of expression actors can give in a song type thing where you're really amping it up, as opposed to when you're just talking around the camera. So I definitely got to get behind this with that and say that they really express themselves and they really show you, in maybe an over-the-top fashion, who they are as people and characters and what they do for the movie. And I really got to say I enjoyed it. Character development gets 92. Storyline. Oh, the flames that are coming my way. There's not a story here. There's not a story in traditional sense of a story itself. This is a multi-threading of characters, and yeah, if you want to call it out, each character has its own plot, its own development, and its own string where they're all knotted together in this movie, musical, whatever you want to call it. But it's not a story. It's not a story written like, oh, we're going to do this and that and that, and this is what's going to happen. It's too close to life. It's what I would call a life story, where you got exposition almost out of someone's life or someone's lives, and you pulled it out and you threw it in a movie. Because it's totally possible, minus the singing and dancing, that was somebody's life. That was 7 people or so, I can't remember the exact number, and like they lived through that, and then someone's like, okay, I kind of went through this, here's my musical interpretation of this story, boom. But it doesn't wrap up anywhere. It doesn't really end, because these people aren't dead at the end of it. Sorry to spoil that. At least not all of them, if that helps you. The journey of these people in themselves, quite frankly, not enough of a story for me. Storyline gets a 50. Compulsion. This is a fun movie. It's almost 2 movies. At the beginning, it really drags you in. It gets you pulled into it. It gets you excited, uplifted. Oh, it's so romantic. There's hope in the world, and everything's gonna be okay. And then kind of like towards the middle of the movie, some events happen, and all the pragmatism hits it and shatters the romance like you wouldn't believe. So the remaining characters end up having some outs and downfalls as well, because life happens and it goes on and there's adversity. So through this adversity, things kind of fall apart in a fashion or two, and we just have this deconstruction of the romance until like towards the end we kind of rebuild some of it and we find this happy medium. It's really, actually, it may be a metaphor for the drugs itself, because we really come in and we ride this friggin' high, and then all of a sudden we're crashing. And we hit this low of the low, and it just peters off because we're already low. And then slowly, and we missed a lot of it. I'm actually mad, I should have mentioned this earlier, that we missed the Mimi and Benny storyline out of it. That actually would have helped out a lot, I think. But we start building up slowly, and they skip a lot of this build up till we just get to where we're about normal on the rise, where we're happier and healthier, and we're able to move on past the tragedies and move on towards hope, where it's all going to be okay. And it's just trust me, baby. Trust me. Propulsion gets a 90. Now, if you total all that up, you get an average of 81.75. For my rep review, I've got to say, watch this movie. If you're not a fan of musicals, maybe this isn't the one for you, but it's a good movie, and it's got some tear-jerking stuff in it, and it's got some really uplifting stuff in it, and it's one of those movies where they'll say, hey, it makes you cry, it makes you laugh. It was an experience, and that's really what musicals are, is they are a living experience that they can give to the audience, and maybe that's why some people don't get behind them, but I definitely recommend this one. It does a fantastic job of entertaining and sending a couple messages, dealing with a couple realistic issues in a very palatable way. Once again, this is a review for hashtag We Are Movie Club. This week's pick was Nina. Next week is going to be Brooks. He does subs and dubs over in Dank Drummer. Normally, he does anime stuff, and he decided to pick a good animation movie, Tokyo Godfathers, for us. So be sure to tune in next week over on youtube.com/WeAreMovieClub. Go ahead and click the hashtag if you want to go over there. And be sure to check out their channels as well. They both put out really good content. And I think that's it for me. I'm Cameron. If you don't like me, bite me. If you want to see anything else we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations, and they'll take you to our other channels.